writing my scripts and all that. Okay, today is a privilege for me to be in the midst of wonderful people like all of us here to talk about the concept based mathematics. Okay, so I've got to share my screen so that we can start in earnest. So I don't know if I have the ability to share my screen.
Yes, you
I'm not
do.
allowed.
Okay.
You
All
said I'm
right.
not
Just
allowed.
give me a moment to check, but you should be able
Okay.
to do so. All right. So
Yeah.
please try again. Let's see how it goes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Are you able to see my screen? Okay. One moment. Uh, okay. So I'll be talking about the concept-based mathematics. From the name, it has already explained itself. So, but before I start, you should know that mathematics is not just about numbers or about equations or algorithm. It is just about understanding. So, math is all about understanding. And for this understanding to take place, a child needs to know the meaning of the concept he or she is to study without delving into problem solving. You can't just begin a lesson by just mere calculation, providing numerous questions and tasks and all that without a child actually understanding the reason, the essence of that topic. Okay, so that's why I said here that mathematics is about. It's not just about numbers or equations or even computations or algorithms. It is about understanding, and for this understanding to take place, the concept of a lesson should well be understood. So, what then is concept based math? From here, you can see that concept based math is just an approach that focuses on understanding the fundamental principles and connections within mathematical concepts. So, it's just a way of ensuring that our lessons are tailored down into the why. That is what we call the why of learning. Why are we learning this? Are we just learning it for passing exam sake? Are we just learning it to be able to solve one or two, three equations? Why is this topic important? I see many persons and teachers solve a whole lot of math equations, filling the board, but at the end of the day, the learning has not taken place. Why? The reason is because the child has not understood the why of a topic. So the concept-based learning ensures that the why of a lesson is really understood. Okay, so that's why I said here that concept-based maths is an approach that focuses on understanding the fundamental principles and connections within mathematical concepts. It tries to ensure that everything that varies around the topic is well understood by the learners before even the solving can take place. Because when a child knows why he is learning a particular topic, it will guide his path and direction towards the actualization of the set objectives of the lesson. So it's very important that the goals, the meaning, the importance, and the application of a topic is well stated and well made known to the students. Because once they know the why, every other thing can follow. Okay, so that is what we call the concept-based learning. Now, why is this concept-based learning important? Why is it important that we study or ensure that our lessons in mathematics are concept-based? Why is this important? One, the first point I made here is that it enhances problem-solving skills. Concept-based learning enhances problem-solving skills. Why and how can it enhance this skill? It can because, for example, If a child is learning solid shapes in maths, for instance, that is the three-dimensional shapes, most persons think that we are just doing mere calculation, length times width times height, give you volume. But when a child understands that these solid shapes are actually shapes seen around us, even the tanks used in our houses are all solid shapes. So measurements are important to be able to quantify maybe the volume of a given container and to know how and when to use that container. Some of these injections we take, like most of them are cylindrical shapes, and their volumes are calculated as well. So without knowing the volumes of all these things, without knowing that even in hospital, we make use of these solid shapes, you see, a child cannot really understand why he's studying that topic. So this concept-based learning will help the child to gain a skill of solving problem because he has known that when I'm so good with these solid shapes, I can be able to maybe figure out why I'm giving 10 mil of a drug to take instead of 50 mil or 30 mils as well. So that's one thing about these concept-based learning. So it enhances problem-solving skill. Another one is that it enhances critical thinking. Yeah, the concept-based learning is not just um, calculation. It's not just about making A's, getting all the tasks and calculations correctly. It enhances critical thinking because one, you've understood the topic, you've known why you are studying this topic. It will now help you to think critically and find a way of providing solution to a given problem. So that's one important thing about this concept-based learning. It enhances critical thinking. Again, it fosters long-term retention. See, anything you know why you are studying it, you cannot forget it. That is why today, if I'm asked to mention some solid shapes, I will just tell you the tank in the house. That's the first thing that will come to my mind because that's the analogy my teacher used to teach me cylinders and all that when I was in primary and secondary school. So it fosters long-term retention. You cannot forget it because you totally understood that topic. When you understand something vividly, you can't just forget it. But once you are just doing a lot of calculations, without knowing the meaning of what you're calculating. Highest 1 year after writing that exam, you forget everything. So these are the importance of concept-based learning that helps a child to be well grounded in the field of mathematics. Also, it encourages deeper understanding than mere memorization of steps. That's one thing. Anything you understand, the calculation becomes easier for you. You even if it is 60 pages, that will take you to finish the solution to a problem. You know it, you understood it very well. It won't be difficult for you. But if you are just focusing on memorization, I tell you, after 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines, you'll be confused. So these are the things concept-based learning does for us. It encourages the application of mathematical concepts into the real world situations. For example, now these simultaneous equation we solve every now and then in schools for students. Many people think that simultaneous equation is just like finding x and y without knowing that these x and y standing for maybe some quantities. For example, if someone goes to the market today and buys 4 bottles of Coke, in the next day you buy 7 bottles of Coke, and the total price is 16 naira. Tomorrow, if you go to the same market and buy 30 bottles of Coke and 40 bottles of Fanta, and the cost is 300 naira, it will take a good mathematician and a student who has understood concept-based learning to understand that this problem now can be analyzed using simultaneous equation by making Coke to be C and Fanta to be F, and thereby solving the resulting simultaneous equation you will generate from this. You will get the values of a Coke and a Fanta. That is what concept-based learning can do for a child. It makes you understand the why of studying a topic and how to utilize it in solving problem and apply it in real world situations. Okay, so we've just discussed the meaning of concept-based learning and the importance of concept-based mathematics as well. However, there are some resources that can still help you. You can bank on to actually help your learners to ensure that you teach them by using a concept-based math approach. For example, you can use the uLesson app. From there, you will see a lot of lessons that have been already. You can see a lot of lessons that has been taught with good animation, and the lessons we are tailored down using concept-based learning and math as well. So from there, you can actually find a way of replicating the same thing and even making it better in teaching your students. You can also see concept-based mathematics, teaching for deep understanding by Jennifer Wattal as well. Okay, now strategies and examples for implementing concept-based teaching in mathematics. How can you do that? As a teacher, you've known what concept-based math is all about. You've known the importance. Now, the next thing is, how can you make this possible even in your classroom? One, start by letting the students know why they are learning the topic. If you tell a child that by learning solid shapes, set perimeters, volumes of solids, and total surface area, that he or she can be able to figure out what happens with the drug they take, because all these drugs have volumes. By learning simultaneous equation, you can tell a child that with area and perimeter, you can be able to know the amount of money it will cost you to tile the floor of your room when you can know the area of one tile and the area of the room. With that, you can calculate the total cost of tiling a room. That is one thing letting the students know why they are studying a topic can do for you. So to implement that in your class, by letting them know, knowing why they are studying a topic is even so good and great, because the child will stop seeing maths as mere calculation and algorithm. The child will see mathematics as something that is really useful and applicable in the real world. When you feel that something is useful, it makes you to put more effort to actually understand that and study that. But once you see something as abstract and useless, honestly, the best you can do is to see a way of passing that subject and forget it forever. But once you understand the importance of a topic, it will make you to have the zeal to study more effort, and to learn better. All right. Another way you can relate it in real world situation is to connect mathematical concepts to everyday situations familiar to your students. For instance, in geometry, relate shapes to objects commonly found in their surrounding. For example, if you are teaching shapes as well, instead of telling them just trapezium and all that, you can tell them how these shapes are seen. Some tanks are cylinders, some matchbox, some Maggi cubes, sugar cubes, dyes, and all that. These are shapes they see every day. If you relate it to what they see and use every now and then in their life, honestly, you will see they will pick up more, because they will see that math is actually seen in real life. Another way is to use visual illustrations. The importance of instructional materials can never be overemphasized in the teaching learning processes. So ensure that you use visual and illustration in tailoring your lessons. By so doing, I bet you that you will notice a great change even in your life as a teacher. Another one is problem-solving approach. Emphasize problem solving as a means to apply mathematical concepts. Provide problems that reflect challenges facing them. For example, now you cannot just teach a child the simultaneous equation without linking it to problem facing them, buying and selling. You just use X and Y every day without letting them know that this X and Y standing for quantities. If you are talking about volume of shapes, why not use the matchbox? Why not use their keyboards? Why not use something they see every day? If you are talking about exchange rate in maths, why not use the rate at which dollar and naira is battling in today's Nigeria? So use something that they meet every now and then, so that they will see that they will see the relatedness of these concepts in their real life. Okay, and also assessment aligned with concepts. Design assessments that focus on understanding the key concepts rather than mere memorization. This is mere memorization. Focus on assessment that focuses on understanding the key concepts rather than mere memorization. This encourages deeper comprehension of mathematical principles. Okay, make your assessment to be tailored than into understanding rather than mere memorization. Every time, what is, what is, what is, what is. That kind of assessment is not okay. So you see that through assessment, you can as well encourage concept-based learning. And finally, storytelling. Sometimes I use song to teach in my class. Sometimes I incorporate song, dance, and storytelling to maybe teach a given concept. There was a time I taught them compound interest. Compound interest. I use a great analogy and story to make them understand what compound interest is all about. I started by telling them of that a king that wanted to kill maybe how did I do that? Let me just 1 minute. Let me figure out how I did that. A king who pleaded, who saw a thief that stole in the community and wanted to kill that uh, man. And that king is known of keeping to his words. And he told that criminal that he should make a wish that anything he says that he's going to do it. That wish is the criminal's last wish before he will be killed. And the criminal told him to be to take care of his family when he has gone. That every day he should be putting in $1, $1 for the family for 100 days. The king thought, what is $1 to me? For 100 days, I will just have $100. But the criminal told him that every day you will double what you've put. The king said, okay, what is the double of $1? Without knowing that today, if you put $1, tomorrow it will be 2, the next day it will be 4. The next day is 8, 16, 32. Before you get to the number 100, the king can no longer meet with that. And the criminal told him that you must fulfill your promise before you kill me, or you have to spare my life. And that was how the king could not do that, because the amount of money we are talking about now can even buy the whole community. So that is the importance of compound interest than simple interest. That because compound interest also takes interest from the interest. That's one important thing about compound interest. It takes interest from interest. But simple interest only takes interest from the principal. So these are the kind of stories you can use, incorporate in your lessons to ensure that the concepts are well understood. Okay, so at this moment, I feel I've exhausted all I've got for you. So maybe in the breakout room, we can have questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ifechuku. I really appreciate because yesterday you were in the hospital, but today you are here sharing with us. The idea of concept-based mathematics is one that is challenging because it means understanding the concept before being able to teach others. I'm sure everyone that will be joining you in the breakout session will be enriched and their approach to teaching will be different. Thank you so much, Ifechuku. Abdullahi Mohammed, I believe you are ready so that I can make your, let me just see a thumbs up if you're ready. I can make your introduction. Okay.
Yes, Samantha, thank you. I'm here.
Thank you so much. Let me do the introduction and thank you so much. So, Abdullahi Mohammed is the co-founder of Scholar. They've been in operation since the COVID. That was when I got to know about their work. And Abdullahi is has operates at the intersection of learning science and then with the um, entry of artificial intelligence into the conversation. His team has found a way to leverage it, and today there are thousands of teachers who are using the tool from Schooler. But in particular, we'll be sharing around AI in mathematics. We'll get to know a bit about how easy it is now to do a number of things that were one of the biggest that was one of the biggest problem that schools had, right? Because of the time saving, because of the effort, because of the creativity that it allows whoever is teaching. Which is a great privilege to have Abdullahi join us. I'm sure you are able to use the share option to share your screen, but I'm going to hand over to you right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Samaila. Uh, Good evening, everyone. If you can hear me, please let me see a thumbs up. Okay, great, great, great. So, yes, we at my company, Schooler, we are trying to build future-ready tools that will help the African educator. And one of such tools is our Cori AI tool. And Cori stands for Curriculum and Artificial Intelligence. The problem we're trying to solve is that of obsolete curriculums and a shortage of, quality teachers in the African education space. Now, uh, system that we use is obsolete, and that technology is the only way to teach a 21st century child. And I'm happy that learn how to uh, make themselves better. And the Cori AI tool is available for everyone on the call to sign up. What we've been able is to save teachers time. Cori AI will help teachers create lesson plans, lesson notes, and assessment questions effortlessly. I'm sharing a link in the chat, and I hope if you don't already have an account, you can create one. Now, what it does is it saves you the bulk of time. On an average, from our research, it takes teachers 1 hour 30 minutes to create, a lesson note with some assessment questions. But with our tool, Cori AI, you are able to do that in a remarkable 2 minutes. We are saving teachers a lot of time. We are giving teachers back their weekends. No more struggling to create lesson plans, no more struggling to create lesson notes. You can do that. I'll show you an example of a lesson plan I created uh, 3 days ago. I think the math tutor told me he wanted to create something on ellipse, an ellipsis, and this is what the AI generated. There was an instruction for the instructor. Uh, yes, depending on the kind of school or environment or what resources are available, you could use a whiteboard or a blackboard, your marker, your graph sheet, or ellipse templates, your calculator, and the students, previous knowledge that they should have known what an ellipse is or how an ellipse differentiate from a cycle. The objective at the end of the day, students are supposed to understand the properties of an ellipse, identify and draw ellipses.
So it does look like our network is unstable. At the moment, we are not able to hear Abdul. So if anyone is can hear Abdul,
Explain the
oh,
properties. Can you hear me?
yeah. So it was breaking. Could you quickly paraphrase maybe the last 2 minutes?
Okay, okay. So I'm in a car, so I will stop now and then make sure I deliver. So let's see, please, you can stop. If you find a place, stop. So this is a lesson plan on ellipses that we created. Can you hear me? I want to be sure that just thumbs up if you can hear me. Great, great, great. So I found a place to park. So this is a lesson we created 3 days ago. And if you are to teach ellipses, these are instructions for the instructor. White paper, blackboard, chalks or marker, depending on what you have. And then definitely there should be some previous knowledge. And at the beginning of the lesson, it's important to do a recap. etc. And what are the objectives for the class? Understanding the properties of an ellipse, identify and draw ellipses from an equation, and you would go further to see the introduction. The teacher start by displaying an image of an ellipse on the board, and it goes ahead to tell you the steps. Look at it. Step one, you take 10 minutes explaining the properties of an ellipse. Notice it was 40 minutes. So the AI will plan your lesson and help guide you. Start by drawing a large ellipse on the board, explain what it is, two focal points, graphing, solving problems related to it, and then evaluation. Notice it's 30 minutes that it took to do the lesson, 35 minutes, and you have 5 minutes to evaluate your students. So I'll go back to, the lesson planner, and I will try to create one. Uh, Let me choose from the audience the person that I like. Grace. Grace, you are here on the call so early. Grace, can you choose a topic that you want? Kindly unmute your mic. Let's do mathematics. Curriculum. Grace, are you there? So, uh-oh. Samaila, maybe I should do it with you since Grace doesn't want to unmute her mic. Samaila, let's
Okay.
do it.
Yeah,
Yes.
sure. I
So
like
mathematics. Yeah.
number of
So
places.
okay. So what curriculum do we choose? So you'd see that you can choose from multiple curriculums on the platform. So depending on the one your school is using or the one you plan to do your extra lesson or what you just intend to do. So what curriculum, Samaila?
Uh,
Samaila, you there?
Universal Basic Education.
Okay, great. How about the class? What
Let's do grade 2.
topic? Topic
Okay, so could we do addition?
addition.
Yes.
Addition. Okay. Addition. I'm hungry. Is that the spelling of addition? Great. So, what class? Samaila, what class?
Grade 2.
Grade 2. So, what would they be adding? I think it should be adding numbers this to that, or it should just be addition. And how many minutes do you teach grade 2? Will they be able to concentrate for 40 minutes?
Let's do
How
40
many minutes?
minutes. 40
Grade
minutes.
2. Grade 2, 40
Yes.
minutes? Okay, 40 minutes. So notice you could add your instructional material, put the previous knowledge, add behavioral objective, but I don't know all these things. I'll just go ahead and create. So it allows every teacher to, at the click of a button, create a brand new lesson plan, and they can do so much with it. They can edit it, they can copy it out, and they can share it to any platform that they are using. So this is the first step to what a teacher can do, saving the teacher a lot of time. Did you see? This is a lesson plan addition for year 2 in mathematics, and it's saying that the teacher should to start the lesson uh, by confirming if the students have a basic understanding of numbers up to 100 and the concept of addition. They need pencils, they need pens, they need addition flashcards, whiteboard markers, worksheets with addition problems, and by the end of the lesson students should be able to understand the concept of addition. Simple addition problems within 100, with accuracy. Apply addition in real life situations, right? Uh, it says introduce the lesson. The teacher will you get to see all the things I've said. So this is how there's a guide, a comprehensive guide for the teacher to follow. You'd see it's similar to what I showed before. There's the what's called curriculum relevance. This lesson is aligned to blah 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 and focuses on subject relevance. The lesson plan is blah blah blah. Topic relevance, level is specifically for year two students. So sometimes you may want to teach a child that is older, that is 12, 13, and that doesn't have good addition skills, and then it will say it's watered down so that the child understands. And then note that this lesson must maybe modified based on the child's needs. So here we see edit. The teacher can edit this content. Can you see? Let me try and make this part evaluation bold. Did you see? Once I create bold, it turned bold on this end. Again, if I go to steps and I want to make steps bold, notice what happened. So you can take off a part, you can delete the part you don't want, and you can save it, owning all the work you've done. Next, you can copy it. You can copy this and put it anywhere. And the last one, you can, download it or share to other platforms. We've integrated with Google Classroom. We have an LMS in school. We've integrated it. We're talking to multiple edtech platforms to integrate. You can download it as PDF, download it as Word, and use it, copy it out, or share it. I really love a feedback that Samaila gave us. Based on this materials, I think we spoke about flashcards, and he said, why not have some flashcards as attachments to this lesson plan? And then it helps the teachers, it helps reduce the teacher's time, for visualization for the kids. These are all the things we intend to do and more. You'd notice we've not launched this. This is staging. The one we've launched, I was able to create a full lesson note. So you can create lesson plan and create lesson note. So I will show us a lesson note that I've created a long time ago. Look at the date, in July 2023. And I created highest common factor. Can we see my screen? Let's be sure. Great. Everybody can see the same thing. So I created this and it went ahead to define highest common factor is the largest number that is divisible exactly into two or more numbers. How to calculate it. This is how the AI went ahead to do it. It made, tables to explain it better to the kids. So you start by creating lesson plans. From the lesson plan you make to lesson notes, and you are able to generate questions. We hope a lot of teachers, go and sign up on the Corey platform and try it. And I'll be happy to explain more in the breakout sessions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Abdul, for the presentation. We'll be having the breakout session where we'll be doing some deep dives into everything that we have had. So at this moment, so that we would stick to the time, I would invite our third and final speaker for this evening, Oyenka Ogumola, who is a with Junior X Innovation Academy. So we are really out to be with us. She has quite an interesting resume, but I really love the unusual school initiative, which is something that you do reaching out to remote communities. Many of the innovations, for example, some of these things like AI and the technology might not be so accessible, and best teachers are definitely not so accessible to many of us that are in rural areas. So we really appreciate that we have some outstanding tutors that are making the effort to sort of democratize this access to quality learning. And so I would invite Onyeka. You are able to share your screen as well. Whatever I did not capture in my very brief profile of you, please go ahead and share with us. Thank you.
Okay, good evening. Can you hear me? Hello, good evening. Can anyone hear me?
Good evening. Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Samaila. You actually pronounced my name so well. Well, I'm not able to share my screen yet. I don't know if you can enable that from your end.
All right, just give me a moment.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. So, good evening, everyone. Today, I'll be talking to us about an interesting topic that I probably have captioned the power of storytelling in the maths classroom. All right, let's see. All right, can we see the screen? Hello, can
Yes,
anyone see the
yes,
screen? All right,
yes, I
so
can.
now when we hear the word maths, what comes to our mind? Perhaps numbers, patterns, relationship, calculations, and formula. And the same goes on in the minds of our students. And the subject math is often met with fear, anxiety, confusion. Many of our students are very, very confused. They are scared even before you start teaching the subject math. At the mention of the name math, it's like almost every knee is about to bow. Now, math can be hard to see and even harder to teach students who yet share that same, that passion. And over the years, different math methodology have evolved and has been used. Yet, math still poses as one of the toughest subjects. And hence, as teachers, we need to look for ways to make this math very, very relatable, to bring it home to our students, to make sure that they go beyond calculating, they relate with this math, they're able to apply it. And today I'll be taking us on a journey through storytelling in the maths classroom. So, first and foremost, we would like to look at what exactly is storytelling. So, we want to look at what exactly is
Sorry,
storytelling.
sorry. I can see your screen. That is the meeting, not the presentation. I
Oh,
don't know
not the
if I'm.
presentation.
Yes, yes. So you shared your browser. I think you go to Window, and you choose the window that says the presentation.
Okay, so let me do that again. Okay, can we see this now?
Not yet. Okay, great. Yes, I can see. What is storytelling? Thank
Yes,
you.
please. So here I have that storytelling is simply the art of describing ideas, let's say math ideas, math events, or math concepts in words, written or verbally, with the aim of providing insightful yet relatable knowledge to our students. Now, storytelling is one way to open the minds of our students, not just to a world of mere imaginations, but to deep and logical thinking and the limitless ways that math patterns can be seen and connections made. Now, when we talk about connections, when we tell the story, what are we expecting our students to be able to do? First, we are to expect our students to be able to connect to themselves, connect to math, connect to themselves, connect across math concepts, and also connect math to the world. Now, many a times, students actually don't relate well with math. They do not see the reason why they should be doing a particular topic in math or math itself, and which is something we rarely do most of the times in the classroom. We just teach this topic and we just assess them, and we feel examination is the next thing and off to the next topic. Why exactly are we teaching it? Many students are curious enough to know. And if you can teach them the reason, if you can teach them the why, using very interesting analogies, using very relatable stories, this whatever it is you're teaching, the concept you're teaching will settle in, the knowledge will sink in. So we need to we need to be able to tell the stories to help students connect math to the world, connect themselves to math, and also connect math across concepts, connecting one math concept to another, never isolating any math concept. Because over time, I've come to learn, even as a teacher, that when you're done teaching one particular topic in math, the next math topic you're going to teach, there is always this link, there is always this relationship, which we should never break. Now, many a times, math stories could help us, bridge this connection, and then our students are able to appreciate whatever knowledge we have taught. So next, we want to look at why math story in a math class. Math is so serious. Why bring in the story? One of the things it does is storytelling can help ignite and stir up students' curiosity and passion for math when relatable analogies are used to explain abstract concepts. We know math can be very, very abstract for many students. So telling stories help them to connect whatever it is they're seeing, the numerical figures, the numbers they're seeing. It helps them to connect it to, visual representation. They are able to imagine these things. They are able to see it. You are saying it, but they are saying it. And that's what we do many a times. We just teach this math. They see the numbers just because we're saying it, but they're not really seeing what we are saying. Storytelling helps our students to see beyond the calculation, to see beyond the memorization, and go ahead to embrace comprehension. Now, storytelling also creates opportunities for students to recall key math concepts. Like the first speaker spoke, he said something that if anyone should call him up and ask him to give them an example of shape, he would always remember a tank in his house because that was what the math teacher used then. This student, I don't think, would actually forget so soon, because the math teacher actually used, very interesting analogies. For example, I had a particular student that was struggling in my class, in the grade 6 class, at one certain time while I was teaching profit and loss. I came in at that time to teach profit and loss. And I don't know how. I wasn't a full class teacher, but I came in at that particular time because the teacher was away for a week. So I stepped into the class and I taught profit and loss. And when the teacher came back, my entire story was different. Like the child, the next thing the teacher asked me was like, how did you survive? And I'm wondering, am I supposed to survive in a maths class as a maths teacher? So what do you mean? She was like, didn't you notice any particular student? I was like, okay, I didn't notice. She was like, okay, how did you teach profit and loss? She called the student and asked the student, what is profit? And the student was like, good business. And what is loss? Bad business. So the teacher was able to put one or two questions and ask the child to, go ahead and get the profit, solve the loss. And the child was able to say, when there is a profit, then it's good business, and I know what to subtract. Now, this child was able to visualize this, this math concept, and it gave room for deeper comprehension rather than just memorizing that profit is simply selling price minus cost price. Not every student can actually, absorb that. But if you can help them, if you can create stories that will help them practice all that you're teaching, it really would go a long way. So now, types of stories, so that we don't get carried away with telling stories that actually do not relate. When you're telling your stories, you should tell stories that inspires and motivates. That's one of the kind of stories you should tell in a maths class. You should tell stories that inform and explain. You should also go ahead to tell stories that introduce, that would serve as a frame, as a background for what you want to introduce to the students, what you're about to teach them. And you should also tell stories that ignite curiosity. Now, going back to the first one, telling stories that motivates and inspires. I actually get to do that at the beginning of every new class I have, like every new session. Because the moment the student come into the classroom, there is this, this look on their face, maths, when it comes, not all the students are very, very comfortable with the math subject. And chances are, even if you give the A students in your class or the advanced students in your class, if you give them the opportunity to drop a particular subject, the odds are they might just drop maths. So I bring them all together and I start giving them, I share one or two stories, real stories. And one I love to share is about Sir Albert Einstein. I love to share that story a lot in the class, helping the children know that everyone has the ability and what it takes to succeed at math or whatever it is. Now, these children at the beginning of the term, they already have this mindset that, okay, I'm not as terrible as I thought I was. And that could actually be a game changer for them, their mindset. You've already captured their mindset, sharing a relatable story that actually motivates and inspires them. The next one is to share stories that inform and explains. Sometimes you just go ahead to put down the formulas, just go ahead to put down, equations on the board. And for example, let's take the topic simple interest. So you want to teach students simple interest, and we know it has, a very easy formula. Still, not all students can actually take that formula in. But how about you give them scenarios of, a businessman or two friends that became business partners and they're trying to do the business together. And the money they put into the business is called this. What they are expecting from that business is called this. The length of time they spend doing that business is called this. How they calculate what they get is called this. And this is what simple interest is. My students would always tell me that simple interest is always that added money, that extra. I have a student that would always tell me it's that extra money, that Jara money. Now, these are stories that are not just informed, but have explained. Stories that introduce. Sometimes you come into the class, you don't just hit the board straight up. You don't just hit the textbooks of these children straight up. You can actually bring in a story to kind of like trigger their curiosity to even tell the topic you're going to be teaching today. Recently at the Junior X Academy, I was teaching a particular student of mine, and we were looking at ratio and proportion. So that they were actually looking at ratio. So I threw a question to this child, and the child was able to solve it, but not in the ratio, the proportion way. And the child solved it and got the answer. But it took the child a very long time to do that because that was the first time I introduced it to the student. But after giving the child a particular story to kind of like break it down, and I told the child to attempt it again, the child actually did it. This time, spent shorter time doing it. And just yesterday, the child actually sent me a screenshot of his test on proportion, and the child smashed it. And I was asking him, how did you? He said, I remembered all the stories. I was putting my name, some person's name into the stories, just like you said, because most of the time, proportion questions are word problem, which many of our students run away from. Now, the last one here I know it's definitely not the last, but stories that ignite curiosity. Don't let your maths classroom just be a class where you teach concepts, teach procedures. Perhaps you go ahead to teach applications and you're the only one doing the talking in the class. You don't ignite, you don't spark of curiosity in the maths classroom. You don't ask your students, what do you think? What if? How? What else do you think we can do? How else can we approach it? Do you think we can actually do it in another way? Helping your student to think of alternative strategies. These children would engage in logical and critical thinking just because you have asked them a question that is probably not numerical. So the next slide here is provocations to inspire math storytelling. Now you may be wondering, what stories can I tell? Now let me help you out here. You need to ask yourself, what stories live in the concept you want to teach? First, you need to go back to the concept you want to teach this week, or the next concept you want to teach. There's a story behind every concept in the math classroom. There must be something you can tell. There must be something you can tell your students that will wow the class, that will make the knowledge settle in. It doesn't have to be a very lengthy story. No, let's not get it wrong. The story doesn't have to be a lengthy story. It could be, okay, like when we're teaching greater than and less than, and we have the story of the crocodile. And we know that the crocodile is always facing. Those are stories that, they are in the concepts. You're trying to teach ordering of fractions. There are stories that actually lie in those concepts. If only you would look deeper Another one is, what stories can you tell to show relevance and application of math concepts? Let's not just teach the math and for exam sakes, for assessment sakes. Let's teach the math in such a way that we can tell the student, we can share them, applications of this math concept, where and when this math concepts have been applied and their results. We can tell those stories of great mathematicians and their work. We can actually tell, so my grade 4 teacher then told me right angle, I can always find it around me. And I was like, okay, yes, at every corner of your house. And I can almost find all the angles on my body. I was like, okay. And he taught me that. And I've been teaching that to my students. The next one is, what math stories can you tell to inspire your students? I talked about it. Could actually be yourself. I have my own personal math story that I always tell my children. Math was not a subject I liked it, but I was this kind of student who, when you're teaching me something, I just don't want to know what, I want to know why. And I wasn't, finding those teachers that were telling me why I was studying LCM, why I needed to learn HCF, why I needed to learn simple interest. Everyone was just interested in telling me that I needed to do it, what I needed to do. No one was telling me why I needed to do it until I got to grade 4 and I met an amazing maths teacher. Not that the ones before him were not amazing. I met someone who could actually tell me, do you know that the orange you're actually taking for lunch in the class, we can actually, get circumference from it. I can actually show you the art. I can actually show you the chord. And I'm like, okay, wow, let me see. So I'm not just learning math. I'm actually seeing it in the things around me. Now, what stories about numbers can you tell? We have a lot of that online that we can actually, most of them, I put them into quizzes and fun facts on Fridays for my students. And sometimes, I put them at the beginning of the week and I tell them before the end of the week, someone should figure it out. I put it in a story form and I want to tell them about the amazing fact of the number 9. So I put it as a guesswork at the beginning of the week, and children are hunting for all of, the amazing facts about 9. They've actually eased me of the work I actually want to do, because by Friday, no matter what they put together, I still have an amazing story to tell them about the amazing fact of number 9, and hence the the 9 times multiplication sinks in, and they're not going to forget it easily because there's a story behind that. That's why teaching multiplication table, one of the easiest ways to teach multiplication table is the story method. You begin with a story and then you take it down, you let it flow. So now, in the place of storytelling, it's important we don't get carried away. Sometimes storytelling can get too detailed and complicated, especially if it's something we are framing. And if we're not careful, we might actually lose the math concept. So it's important that we are mindful to keep the content correct in the story. We know that storytelling encourages the use of math vocabulary. Yes, that's one of the things I learned at a very tender age. Those days, I remember when I want to say something, I'm quick to use my math terminologies. I'm quick to use my math vocabulary, and I'm very, very good at word problem. And when my classmates are solving, straight out equation, I find it very difficult to really understand what's going on until I learned the word problem using story method. I like it when you put in word problem. And I've come to realize that those word problems, when you bring in your math vocabulary, students get to settle, understanding the English and the math. I humorously tell some teachers that why so many students don't do well in math. One of the reasons is that they don't understand the English and the math. And what problem is a way to bring in English and the math. And storytelling, it's a way to make students comfortable with what problem. It also encourages independent learning. After you've told students stories where they've been able to connect math patterns and relationship, when you're not there, these students can actually stand on their own to a reasonable extent and do something. So it's important for us to understand that storytelling, it's one powerful tool to actually teach math concepts, math procedures, as well as its application. It sparks up curiosity in the math class, and it's one of the ways students can actually settle comfortably learning and loving math confidently. So, like people would say, with these few points of mine, I hope I've been able to convince you and not to confuse you, to tell you that you should infuse storytelling in the math classroom. It's a game changer.
Thank you so much, Onyeka. That's amazing. Good for us. We have the recording and we'll be making it available. So none of what our amazing speakers have said is going to um, we are going to always have this content. And one thing I noticed is that almost everything we all talk about have some sort of confluence or intersection. So I see us maybe doing something together because everything, even though I thought we were distinct, but now they just look all connected. So I really appreciate. Um, I want to find out if Obi Brown, your hand was raised. Thank you so much for joining us. Junior X Innovation Academy. Do you have something to add?
No, my hand was not raised. I think I wanted to send a thumbs up and I hit that button by mistake. But I'm
All right.
enjoying the sessions thoroughly. Thank you so much for putting this forum together.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to have you with us. And so I'm going to stop the recording. The next section will be great.